Guidance is extremely important in one's life. In cricket, just like in life, there is rules and regulations by which you play the game. And as a person who is taking part in that activity, you need to become extremely familiar with what the rules of the game are, right? Once you get familiar with the rules of the game, then you are able to go out there and participate and get better understanding the rules of the game. It's interesting in cricket, in order to take your guard when a batsman comes into bat, there are three aspects of what is going on. There is the wicket that they need to align themselves with, and that position of where the wicket is doesn't change, right? So think about that as an absolute standard that we need to live by. The person who's participating in that activity needs to align themselves with that wicket, right? And so you have to actively participate in knowing exactly where you're going to stand in order to take your guard. And then there is the umpire who's telling you kind of where you need to stand in relationship to the wicket. So as you look at that, there are three aspects of it. There is the absolute standard that we need to live by. There is us who need to understand that standard and be able to align ourselves. And the third aspect of it is to really have somebody who's an umpire in cricket, but in life, right, we don't have an umpire, but there are umpires in our life, aren't there, right? So it could be when you're growing up, it could be your parents, right? As you get, it could be a teacher, it could be a coach. As you get older, it could be somebody who's your peer, it could be a leader at work who's kind of giving you some guidance, kind of telling you where the boundaries are. I can tell you that as a young person, that I didn't always appreciate the rules that were there, whether it was in school or otherwise. I started to ignore those rules. And guess what? I found that time and time again that I was falling short of the God-given potential that I had because I was ignoring the rules. I was ignoring those absolutes. And after a while of failing time and time again, not because I didn't have the ability to do it, but because I was not necessarily paying attention to the things that I was needing to pay attention to. I started to embrace those rules. I started to embrace those people who stood for those rules. And guess what? As I did that, I started to create success. And so that is the advice that I would like to give you, which is understand what the rules are. Understand that those rules are meant not to frustrate you, really, but to protect you. Right? And so as you learn those rules and as you learn to live by those rules, you will start to see that your God-given potential is going to be used correctly. I remember an incident with regard to one of my sons, right? He was a fairly new driver then. It was snowing outside like crazy, and I was doing some stuff. We were expecting company that day, and I started to noticed that he was leaving and he was going to drive. And I said, son, I don't think it's a good idea for you to drive today. But guess what? He says, no, Dad, I'm okay. And he leaves. And then within 5 minutes, he comes back because guess what? In the snow, he got out of control and hit a tree. Thank God, nothing happened to him. I ran out there and made sure he was okay. That's a good example of where he wasn't listening to what I said. I was giving him some guidance based on my experience, understanding that it was snowing, realizing it was not the best time to be out driving. It was dark, right? So in life, sometimes we have to learn the hard way, but recognize that when there is a parent, when there is a coach, when there is an administrator, when there is a leader, giving you some guidance and saying, hey, here is what you ought to do. Embrace that. Listen to it. Take time to be able to say, you know what? This person really has my best interest at heart, and listening to this guidance and being able to align myself with the rules of the organization, of the environment, guess what? I'm going to be successful. So I hope you will take that to heart like I did over a period of time.